Why can't you focus for more than 10 minutes? Do you find yourself drifting throughout the day and between tasks? And are you someone who easily gets distracted? If so, this video is for you. Hello, my name is Wintonio, and I'm the creator of the 10 Principles of Self-Mastery. And in this video, we will discuss the fourth principle, focus management. Let's talk about why it's so difficult to focus and how you can practice self-mastery to improve your ability to get things done. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my podcast. This is where you learn self-mastery. Again, my name is Wintonio, and today we're talking about why you can't focus for more than 10 minutes. Focus, 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 focus. Focusing is difficult for everyone. Everybody struggles with focus on some level or another. And we don't even have to talk about how some people struggle to focus for more than 2 minutes or 5 minutes, let alone 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 1 hour. That's very, very difficult for everyone to do. And you might think you need to put more effort into focusing. That's the misconception that exists. Because what happens is you'll start a task, but then you drift even faster than you began, right? And so there's one rule that exists out there. If you're at your computer, the more tabs you have open, the lower your ability to focus your attention will be. And this leads to that loop of why it's so hard to focus. Understand, so again, you open a task or you begin something that you want to do, but then quite quickly you get the urge to check your phone, to go out into the other room. Maybe you're checking other tabs on your laptop. The girlfriend or the boyfriend's in the other room. The cat, the dog, your parents call. The TV's on. The laundry just finished. I mean, there are a slew of tasks and distractions at home that can prevent you from focusing on what needs to get done. And if you're watching this video, maybe you have the frustration from realizing that at an earlier time in your life, you could focus much better than you can today. You might be thinking, man, what happened to me? Why can't I just focus more? Why do I get so easily distracted? What happened to me? What happened? Well, again, the misconception is that you have to work harder to focus more. But the reality is that your attention breaks pretty much every 10 minutes, and it's due to your environment. It's not that you lack the ability to focus, it's that your environment trains you to get distracted. So let's talk about how this happens. How does our environment influence our ability to focus over time? And what can we do about it, right? Because this, again, this is a big problem that everyone deals with at one point in their day or several points throughout the day. And if you don't practice self-mastery the right way, focus management, the fourth principle of self-mastery, if you're not practicing focus management, you won't have the ability to get things done proficiently. All right, so the fourth principle of self-mastery builds after the third principle, which is discipline in action. It's not just enough to be consistent in your actions, but it's difficult to be consistent if your environment is distracting you from the task at hand. So let's talk about how that happens. How do you get distracted at various points throughout the day, and what can you do about it? So, in every podcast episode, I like to offer a reframe around how we think about a certain problem. Self mastery is a very contrarian framework. Most of us think about self improvement and personal development in terms of doing more. Self mastery is about doing less. And so let's reframe our perspectives around the problem of not focusing for more than 10 minutes. So, first of all, understand that focusing more is not what you do to fix the problem. You don't work harder to focus more. Uh, Focus is not achieved through more willpower. All right. And instead, your attention is trained through a system that you create for yourself. And that system is designed by your environment. Your environment is the hidden driver behind your ability to focus. Your environment dictates where your attention goes throughout the day. So, for instance, I have my kitten. He just smelled my feet while I'm over here on my chair, sitting at the table talking to you. But I have so many other sounds off, like my radio and my phone. They're all turned off. I have my notifications turned off. So I didn't mind the little quick sniff on my feet because it's just that quick and he's gone. My environment at home is designed for me to talk to you guys right now with the ability to focus for at least 5 or 6 minutes and not get distracted by other things. But this is very intentional. All right. My environment allows me to do this video every single day, but it's intentional. All right. And so understand that distractions are also built within your environment. It's part of the design that you may have at your home or your office. And this can prevent you from focusing for more than 10 minutes. So understand something. Uh, Again, the misconception is that you have to do more. This is a kind of blaming perspective that most people take because of how we've been trained to think about our ability to focus from all the self help gurus and self improvement and personal development content that exists out there. Let's reframe our perspective and understand that you don't have to do more. In fact, let's do less. Let's not blame ourselves. Let's examine our environment and then see what happens with your ability to focus over time. If you clear your environment from all of these distractions, do you have to fix yourself at all? It's not you, it's your environment. Also, your phone. Apps on your phone are designed to interrupt your focus. So, do you have notifications turned on or are they turned off? Is your phone on silent all day or is it ringing and beeping and buzzing all day? Okay, you are not your phone. How are you managing your phone? Your phone is part of your environment. By design, you can increase your focus by how you manage your phone. So understand something that a lot of people don't understand is that focus is a skill. It's not a trait. It's not inborn in anyone. It's something we have to learn and practice. You have to practice focus management. You have to practice self mastery. And this is how you increase your focus throughout the day. Okay, so again, you don't lack focus. You've trained yourself, your body, your brain to switch constantly based on how your environment is designed. So let's talk about the failure moment that typically happens for us when we lose our ability to focus for more than 10 minutes. This is 2026. This is the modern world where there is technology everywhere to distract us from our task at hand. Just think about it. Notifications happen on your phone, you get emails, you get texts, you get updates from social media accounts. And when that happens, you check your phone instantly, right? The second you hear your phone beep or buzz, you're already face planted in the screen. And it's very strange how that happens, but of course, the developers of this software knew exactly what they were doing because it has created this urge for us to want to check our phones. And it's very strange to me because it almost seems like we're obeying these notifications and the technology itself. It's almost as if we are beholden to these apps and don't have a choice when the phone rings or beeps or whatever. It's like it makes a noise and right away we're running to our phones to check what's going on. And now we're distracted from what we were just doing. And this is the typical occurrence for when you and I lose our focus and can't do the thing we were trying to do. And think about it. If you have certain apps on your phone, you're getting constantly notified by these apps and things. Like every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, you're getting buzzed or beeped at by something on your phone. What this results in is shallow work, right? You can't focus for more than 10 minutes because you're totally distracted by your environment. And this becomes your default state, your reactive state of mind, because your environment dictates your ability to focus. This tends to be the big problem for all of us and why we can't focus for more than 10 minutes. But focus management can help you prevent this from happening. Again, the story goes like this: you're reacting to every ping or thought you have in your mind on social media. Uh, and in some cases, some people, now, yeah, some people enjoy the distraction more than they should. They're undisciplined, but also stimulated by the distractions. And it allows them to procrastinate in a certain way because sitting with a task that you have to get done is uncomfortable for some of us. Some of us would rather not do the task and would allow our phones and social media and our computers to continue to distract us from reality. That's for real. Some of us may not even realize that we keep ourselves distracted just to avoid and escape the reality of our lives. So that's what happens, right? You're doing a task, you get distracted, you come back, you reset, and then you get distracted all over again. That's the cycle. But if you are not practicing focus management, there's no way to break the cycle. So please understand that every time you give in to distraction, you make focus harder next time. Every time you give in to something that is pulling your attention away from the task at hand, you continue to reinforce that state of being reactive to your environment. Focus management puts you in a more proactive state of mind where now you can think about what is distracting me from getting what needs to get done. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how to practice focus management. Let's talk about how to practice self mastery. One of the reasons why I enjoy talking about focus management is because it's a very proactive principle of self mastery. Focus management is something you do and can always practice every single day. Focus management is the fourth principle because it comes after discipline in action, the third principle of self mastery. But to be focused, you have to be proactive. And again, there's nothing wrong with you. Focus management is all about managing your environment and the distractions around you. So, the first thing to do to practice focus management is remove all obvious distractions. For me, what I like to do is turn my phone on silent and vibrate for any kind of notification I get. But I've also turned off all notifications from social media as well. And personally, the effect is kind of like Christmas because every time I open one of those social media apps, I'll have new notifications waiting for me that I did not expect, like presents under the tree. You don't expect presents, but if they're there, oh my God, it's so fun. And at the same time, it allows me to focus on my work throughout the day. So now I'm not getting buzzed and pinged all day and distracted from what's going on my phone, and I have to look away from my desk or from my work and see what's going on my phone. That's not happening anymore because I've turned my notifications off. You don't have to do this, but it's an obvious distraction to reduce in your environment. Okay, rather than be managed by notifications, let's manage your phones. That's an easy first step. Also, think about setting time blocks where you do nothing but the task at hand for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you can afford to do. Let's get very organized in how we manage our time around the tasks that need to get done. Focus management is not just managing your environment, but also having the willingness to focus your mind on a very specific task and manage your tasks throughout the day by being specific about what you're going to get done. Steve Jobs often talks about focus, and he's advised numerous entrepreneurs and, of course, his own staff on how to focus. And what he would say is you focus on one thing at a time, one task, one product, one service at a time, one thing that you're building or developing at a time, not multiple things, right? Multitasking actually delays progress. If you're multitasking, it might take longer to get both tasks done as opposed to just doing one task at a time. So think about that and use time blocks as a way to focus your attention on one task. All right, no switching, no multitasking. You'll find yourself improving your ability to focus if you practice focusing on one task. And then you get used to the experience of not being distracted, not multitasking and not moving from one thing to the next and then back to the previous thing, right? No drifting, no switching, and get comfortable with completing one task at a time. Also, build your tolerance for focusing. Like I said, some people enjoy the distraction because it prevents them from the anxiety of needing to focus on one thing at a time. For some of us, more focus, increased focus can create anxiety. You get nervous, you get uncomfortable with doing just one thing. But it takes time to develop the skill to focus on one thing. So, the more, like I said, the more you focus on completing one task at a time, the better you get at increasing your focus to complete a task, right? So, again, blocking out 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, really practice focus management over time by increasing time blocks that you use to get things done, to get one task done. I don't know about your sink. Maybe it takes 10 minutes to do the dishes, right? Don't do the dishes and clean the countertop and cook at the same time. I mean, really, can you set a time for focusing on one thing and watch how quickly you get it done and how well you get it done? It could also be writing, it could be anything uh, task or work oriented. Focusing on one task at a time does improve your performance, and not everyone is willing to just focus on one task. So, what else can you do, right? You can also put your phone in another room if you really need to. Kind of extreme for some people, but it works, right? My phone is right here. It's not in my hand. I have it turned over so I can't actually see the screen. That might be a lot for some people to do. I mean, really, this is 2026, and a lot of us have been conditioned to really just be beholden to our phones and devices. So, what I'm talking about in terms of putting your phone in the next room where you can't see it or hear it, that might be very difficult for some of us. Again, can you practice focus management and build your tolerance to um, endure that process, that time block that you've set to get something done? This takes effort. It's a very proactive principle of self mastery, focus management. Okay, so again, you can set those time blocks, but let's say you're doing a very specific task, like I said, doing the dishes, maybe you're folding laundry, maybe you're cleaning something, maybe you're writing something like an email, maybe you're reading a book, reading a chapter. Who knows? Set a short and defined time window for you to focus on a very specific task. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes or 20 or 30. Let's start small with 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But if the phone rings or beeps or whatever, or you get a notification, don't check it. Or maybe turn off the phone, turn off notifications, and focus on the task at hand. And enjoy the process of getting things done, right? So again, so many of us enjoy the distractions more than the work, but that does not help us grow as people. So and that's why you're here. Self mastery is a framework designed to help you evolve as a person. And productivity is a major part of our lives, especially as adults, as working and professional adults. How do you improve your performance and your productivity? One of the main ways is by practicing focus management. So, again, if you can, sit through the urge of checking your phone, checking your email, stay with the task, get it done, and then do something else afterwards. One last thing I want to share with you guys, just so you understand. Focus is not about intensity. It's about staying with the task at hand, even when you want to leave. All right. So you don't have to be obsessively working on something. Just be diligent about what you're trying to get done. And then when you get that urge, you push that urge away and you stay with the task until you've completed it. That's the point. That's the idea. You're building a muscle. It's called focus. Focus, focus, focus. Practice focus management. Practice self-mastery. If you are enjoying the video so far, hit like and subscribe to the channel for more self-mastery. And be sure to get your free copy of the self-mastery assessment and find out where you stand on the 10 principles of self-mastery. We also have your Essence Workbook if you want to go deeper and learn more about yourself from using CBT therapy, journalistic questions. We also have the self-mastery book list with over 40 titles curated from authors worldwide. Check that out as well. And if you're so inclined, check out my coaching service called Vision Coaching, where I help you achieve a personal transformation within 90 days by using the 10 principles of self-mastery framework. So check all of that out. The links are down below. Let's continue. So now let's talk about identity integration. What happens when you begin to practice focus management? This is the fun part, right? This is why we practice focus management. This is why we practice self-mastery. It's about the transformation. It's about becoming better. It's about growth and evolution, your personal evolution. When you begin to practice focus management, your identity shifts, just like when you practice any of the 10 principles of self-mastery. But specifically with focus management, your identity shifts from being reactive to a focused operator. No longer are you easily distracted because there are no distractions. And you've learned how to manage your environment and to manage distractions around you. Things happen throughout the day, but there are ways to increase your ability to focus. And again, don't blame yourself. Just examine the space around you. Examine your environment and look at the physical, tangible, potential distractions that could happen. Your phone, your laptop, the pets, right? The refrigerator, anything that brings your mind away from what you're trying to do. Just examine everything, all the stuff around you. The coffee machine. I love coffee. How about you? I love coffee. Again, the pets, the dog, the cat. The cat. The cat is a major distraction for everybody. The cat. Love the cat. Got to put the cat down. All right. What happens? What else happens? Deep work as opposed to shallow work. Deep work is when you've focused for more than 10 minutes. You're in the zone. You're getting things done. You're not distracted. You're focused for more than 10 minutes. You've developed this ability to focus for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, for an hour. You're in the zone. You're getting things done. Deep work becomes the standard when you practice focus management. Again, you're no longer reactive to your environment. You're now focused. You're not doing shallow work. You're doing deep work. Okay? Distractions around you. You've analyzed your environment. You recognize distractions. And maybe it's coming from your phone. And you recognize that it is a distraction. And what you do is reject the distraction. That's a change. That's a shift in your identity. when you begin to practice focus management. That's a major shift. Rather than saying yes to the distraction, you say no. You say, not right now. I'm busy. I'm focused. I'm working. That's a shift. How often do you not say no to a distraction? How often do you normally just say yes without realizing that you are pulling your own focus away from a task or an objective or a goal? That's the big shift that happens. You start saying no to distractions. And then finally, your attention becomes a controlled asset. You begin to protect your ability to focus because your attention matters. You realize that where your attention is going is how you're able to remain focused on a specific task. So you become more aware of your focus at hand, what you're focusing on, and you manage your focus by preventing distractions from seeping in. Okay, you begin to really covet your ability to focus, and your attention specifically as an asset becomes more valuable to you. Your attention becomes the asset, not the distraction. Okay, so again, um, something else you can say to yourself as you begin to transform is, I will finish what I start. That can become a new adage or a self affirming statement that you make as you begin to embrace this fourth principle of self mastery. I finish what I start. Think about that. Again, you don't bounce around, you don't drift, you don't shift your attention, you don't multitask. You finish what you started. That's a huge shift for everybody. For me, for you, for most people, especially if you have a hard time focusing for more than 10 minutes. So think about that. The identity integration that begins to happen when you practice focus management is not just about productivity, it's about your ability to focus and developing that muscle that allows you to focus for longer periods of time. And hopefully, you also develop some pride in that skill that you've built over time and recognize the change that's happened within 3 months. Now, instead of focusing for just 5 minutes, you can focus for 50. How much would that change your life if you could focus for more than 50 minutes or an hour as opposed to 5 minutes? How big of a change in your life would that be? And lastly, let me leave you with this last thought. Focused people don't rely on discipline. They protect their attention. How do they do that? They manage their environments. So think about that as well. Protect your attention by managing your environment. This is how you practice focus management. Focus management is a very proactive principle of self mastery. You must train every single day if you want to increase your ability to focus. And there are opportunities to train every single day. Those opportunities lie in your personal life and in your professional life. The next task you need to complete could be the next session. It could be the next test. Expect that the urge to divert your attention away from that task will come. Expect that distractions will come in and you may feel like doing something else. And so the question is, will you stay? Will you stay focused on the task at hand? Next time you sit down to do some work, pay attention to that urge instead of react. Just pay attention to that urge to do something else, to give in to the distraction that appears out of nowhere. Pay attention to your thoughts diverting to something else that's less important than the work in front of you. But rather than give in to that urge, make the choice to stay present and focused on your work. This is how you practice focus management. This is how you practice self mastery. Because the moment you want to switch, that's the moment that builds focus.